All right, cool. All right. Peace, blessings, level up family. Hope everybody is having a great evening today. We're back with you today with my homie, Gregg Turner. And today, what we're going to be talking about is spirituality versus religion. Okay. And one thing I do want to say is that when we use like the term versus, I guess I'm very I guess not really comfortable with that word versus because I don't want to put one against the other. But our main goal with this discussion is just to talk about the differences amongst them and both of our experiences with that. So yeah, Greg, my man Greg, man, thank you for coming on the show with me, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. We've been talking about it, so getting started with this thing and kind of building up our stations and everything. So
Yeah.
hopefully, your audience will enjoy the content today.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. So let's talk about this, bro. I know last time we were talking about spirituality and religion. And I know me and you, we both have like the same type of background in religion and, our upbringings and things to that nature. And I know, one of my experiences has been that when you're trying to break away from, not, I don't even want to say break away from religion because it, I guess you more so evolve, I'll say evolve outside of it. That could be a very uncomfortable feeling, because all of these deep seated beliefs and your way of seeing things and what you've been taught, you're now forced to have to look at things a lot differently than what you've been taught. So what are your thoughts or experiences on that, bro?
Yeah, I grew up, I grew up in a single parent home, but we were tight with our family, so I did get a chance to, you you know, um, stay with my aunts and everything. I was raised pretty much in my early years by my aunt.
Mm,
My mother worked on the other side of town, and we were not old enough to stay home by ourselves. Being though she was a single mom, we didn't have the coverage and everything to, for us to actually come home and actually be with a grown person. So my auntie was a stay-at-home wife, so it was more ideal for my sister and I to actually, stay with my aunt during the week. And my aunt went to church faithfully every Sunday. So we grew up Catholic,
mm,
Roman Catholic, and everything. And my name is Greg and Bernard. Really, believe it or not, those are Catholic names. Greg
mm.
Bernard, or
Right.
name Bernard for short. And that's my mother's father's name, Bernard. And his son was Bernard as well, and then his son after him
Kept
was
going,
Bernard.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
kept on.
which one of you, bro? Which you like the fifth, sixth, something like that?
Well, see, the thing is, my mother named me Bernard, but her father named her son Bernard, and then his father named his son Bernard. So it was
Oh
kind of going down.
wow.
So my
Okay.
middle name ended up being Bernard.
Gotcha.
So it was
Gotcha.
one of those deeply rooted Catholic things. We grew up going to Assumption Church here in the southeast area of Washington D.C.
Yeah, yeah.
And those are my beliefs. But I always wanted to be close to God. And the thing about religion, man, I think it is deeply rooted, and it's deeply rooted in and it was actually, religion pretty much got popular during the times of slavery, right? So
Right.
and we always wonder, what were we before we became religious, and we were more spiritual people before we became
Mm-hmm.
religious. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
had to learn that later on in life, but pretty much you're being indoctrinated because you're doing what your parents are teaching you. You
Right.
pretty much learn everything from your parents and everything. So
Mm-hmm. Who also learn from their parents and so
absolutely,
forth.
it's a
Exactly.
generational thing, and it gets
Generation.
passed
Yeah.
down. Just like trauma. You
Right.
know,
Just like.
so yep. So growing up, I always wanted to be closer to God, man. I would always walk around with my little cross, my little Jesus piece,
Yeah.
and I had the little beads attached to it and everything, and I would pray and everything. I
Yeah.
always wanted to be closer to God, but I knew it was just something more to it than just praying. But I just didn't know what the questions
Right.
were, and so far as what questions to actually ask until I actually got older, like in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
After being in the military and then like hearing people and really starting to understand what racism was, and talking to more conscious people and learning from them, you start to question a lot of things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Yeah,
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
get it, bro. I get it. I
Um,
think for me, I think for me, my deal with religion is that, well, just to give you some context to, well, to my listeners as well, Greg. I know me and you
mhm,
talked about this.
mhm,
I grew up in a very Christian household, where mom and dad took us to church on Sundays, and
mhm,
being young in church, you being part of the choir and that whole culture and things like that. And
mhm,
then even growing up, it stays with you. So, you getting going through my 20s and, even some of my 30s, going to church and, me and the wife getting married in church and then having our entire family basically rooted in that background,
mhm,
so it was very much a very deep part of my life, right?
mhm. Yeah.
But going back to what you said, you always wanted to know God. That's exactly how I was and still am in a way.
Mhm.
Where I always had that curiosity of wondering, is there more to the story of what y'all are telling me? Right.
Right. Right.
And from like, I always had that curiosity as a kid, like listening to like the Bible stories and like what you're taught and stuff like that. You still wonder, there was still like a lot of unanswered questions, and a
Mhm,
lot of times people weren't able to quite bridge it for me. So I
right.
think because of that, my mind was always just open. Okay.
Mhm.
And then, you know this, like once you open your mind to certain things, uh, you start to experience different things, right?
Mhm.
Which can sometimes contradict the way that you've been taught to view reality.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
yeah, yeah, I get you on that, bro.
Yeah, and yeah, it was easy to let go, man. Once I came into the knowledge, of
Yeah.
how things really were and why we were being taught the way we taught and everything. So, I mean,
Hmm.
I can speak to you from a perspective of where I am now, as to
Yeah.
where I was maybe 20 years ago, and actually trying to really coming into an understanding that things aren't what they seem to be and everything,
Hmm.
and kind of opening your eyes to the world that's around us and everything. So
Right.
and we can go into talking about our first experiences and stuff when we really started opening up about spirituality, and
Hmm.
then really starting to challenge ourselves spiritually as opposed to you know how we were institutionalized
Yeah.
religiously, through religion. So
Right. Right. Well,
those are some of the things as well that we should talk about. I think that
yeah.
your listeners may be interested in hearing.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
absolutely. Well, let's start with this, man. First of all, why don't you tell me what's your definition of spirituality and what does that
right.
mean for you?
Yeah, my definition of spirituality, I've never really given it a definition. It's more of an experience, right? And a lot of people
Yeah.
relate it to a religious experience. And I tell people all the time that I've come to the conclusion that, religion and spirituality has nothing to do. One has nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with the other.
Hmm.
As again, religion is more institutionalization, and spirituality is more organic. And it's different between uh, dealing with something that's already there, that's natural, that you have an innate ability to possess, which is your
Right.
spirituality, as opposed to what you're being taught, through theory or someone else's theology and everything.
Right. Right.
So,
Exactly.
I look at spirituality as my connection to the ancestors that
Hmm.
came before me, because I think that we're all connected
Right.
universally through genetics and the universe itself, because we are part of the universe.
I
And
believe it.
thinking that we're all one, even though it seems like we're separate. And religion basically teaches you that God resides outside of yourself, and God really resides internally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they always the religion teaches you to disperse your energy outwardly as opposed to inwardly. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
and it can be taxing.
And I like the way you put that, bro, is, spirituality pointing inwardly,
Yes.
and the thing about it is that that's my thing, is when you even look at certain parts of the Bible, and I know that there's other books that we can reference, like the Quran and stuff, the things of that nature, but I'm talking
Sure.
about the Bible just because that's what I was brought up under, right?
Sure.
But even looking into the Bible, like, there are certain scriptures where you can see that it does, the context of it does point you inwards, but it's been taken out of context, right? So
Right.
when you think about things like Jesus saying that, okay, the kingdom of God is within you. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like it's right
Right.
there. It's not going to
Right.
come by any type of observance or anything that you see outward. Okay, you can't
Exactly.
find God outward. It's something in you.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, of course, another part of it saying that you got to look outside of yourselves to be saved, so
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
always been those holes,
Yeah.
bro.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I think for me, spirituality has always been something, well, for now for me, it's something that it takes the restrictions off of who you are and who you can become. Versus religion, in my perspective, has always put a certain box on who you are. This
Exactly.
is who you are. This
Mm-hmm.
is who God is in another box. This
Mm-hmm.
is your reality in another box. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
which limits you, of course.
Right.
So yeah, I think at some point, experience is always going to bring you to a place where you have to evolve out of it. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and the spirituality basically opens you up to you understanding that you expand beyond yourself. You
Right.
know, you're more than just a physical body, and and understand. A lot of people don't understand death, so they fear it.
Yeah.
And believe that this life that we're living, this physical life that we're living here on the third density,
Hmm.
does not end when we pass on to the next stage of life or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're
Exactly.
greater people than what we seem to be physically,
Right.
and
Right.
being as though our minds have been put in a box with religion. It's kind of hard to actually understand that when your mind is in a box.
Right. Exactly.
You're institutionalized by any one of the three major religions that's out here, like Judaism,
Right.
Christianity, or Islam. you know
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And one thing, as you were writing, I'm sorry, as you were talking while I was writing, and one thing that came to mind is multidimensional.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
spirituality does not only teach you or show you, but you begin to experience it yourself from a multidimensional perspective.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and once you break open into that, bro, there's really no looking back, man.
Right. It isn't, and we pretty much call it going in, kind of like going into a rabbit hole, because
Yeah,
it's out of the norm. And I believe the reality for which we are living in is being controlled by certain factions,
absolutely.
and entities that are multidimensional. When you really start getting into the rabbit hole, you start leaving this reality and going down the rabbit hole, and dealing with another whole another reality, and you become multi-dimensional, because
Hmm.
your ancestors talk to you. You start realizing how your ancestors are communicating with you, and
Yeah,
they don't speak to you like we're speaking to one another. It's all
yeah,
vibration,
yeah.
and we have to understand that.
Bro, we about to bust something wide open, man. And look,
Right.
I'm gonna tell you why. And I lied to you not, bro. I was literally having a conversation with my wife about this probably about a couple of hours ago,
Okay.
um, about talking to your ancestors and
Mm-hmm.
how we really do have access to that realm where they're currently at and where our consciousness can go to. Okay.
Absolutely.
So the way that I was explaining it was that we're taught that our consciousness, and when I talk about our consciousness, I'm talking strictly about our awareness. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
just like I'm looking at you, I'm witnessing you, I'm experiencing you, I'm aware of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you can literally expand your awareness outside of this body, so to speak, into other dimensions, right? And that's
Right.
what spirituality, that's a big part of spirituality because it helps you expand your awareness outside yourself. Um, and in those places, I was explaining to it that you have access to all this information, because, and even your ancestors, because your ancestors are really just another version of you. Okay, because at higher dimensions you find that everything comes back together as one. The high, the closer you get to source, and you had even hit on that before, saying that we're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
um but the interesting thing about what you said and what I was explaining to my wife, because she had asked me, well, what do they say, or what advice do they give you? And when I thought about it, I couldn't explain it,
Mm-hmm.
because one, they don't use words on that side, right? Like a
Right.
lot of it's really like more so it's you read by energy. There's like an energy frequency you can pick up on.
Exactly.
And for me, I told her it was more so like telepathic, right? Like you can kind of, I know what you're saying without you having to say it, and you know what I'm saying without having to say it. But
Exactly.
but here's the crazy thing is there are certain things that I'm able to understand on that side
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not able to understand on this side, and
Right.
I can't find the words to like to intelligently communicate it. If that
Right.
makes sense, you know what I'm
No,
saying?
it makes perfect sense,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
find myself struggling to decipher the vibration, that I'm getting from my ancestors, and it happens mostly in the middle of the night for me.
yeah,
You
yeah.
I feel like I get visits in the middle of the night most of the time because I have these epiphanies, right?
Right, right.
And I've learned
Downloads.
over the years through my fraternity, the fraternity that I belong to, that you had to lean into those things and start communicating a little better and understanding those things, and then you can actually speak to that vibration, that
Right.
or that message that you're getting through a vibration, and share it with people. And it took a while because again, this reality has been set up for us to think a certain way,
Right. Right.
and after I'm speaking to what you were saying, how it's kind of it's easy to understand on that side, but hard to understand on this side because
Exactly.
we're physically in that box and
Yeah.
we're not experiencing it enough to really understand it or lean into it to be able to
Yeah.
connect it to something that's going on the outside.
Right.
So once we start, astral projecting or expanding beyond our physical selves,
Uh-huh.
and getting out of that box, we start to see everything from like a 10,000-foot view, and
Right.
then we can kind of see the puzzle as it starts coming together and everything. So,
Exactly.
so this is why, like in the room when we're talking, you know, um, I'm basically putting together a puzzle for people, but people don't understand, how I'm putting that puzzle together because they're like, where are you getting your information from?
Right.
You know,
Sometimes it comes as downloads, man.
absolutely, and
It
it's a
comes.
lot of information.
It
A
is,
lot.
and
It, it will overwhelm you
it
if
will.
you're not.
It. Mm, I'm sorry,
No,
bro. I'm just
no.
excited as you are, but yep, we're saying the same
Mm-hmm,
thing, bro. It will
mm-hmm,
overwhelm you, and for me,
mm-hmm,
I don't know about how it is with you, bro, but I know for me, like I gotta write stuff down like as
mm-hmm,
quickly as I get it.
mm-hmm.
And sometimes I like be kicking myself because I don't write as fast as it comes in,
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
or or on your phone or something. I'll break open my phone and like write down notes or something like that, you know?
yeah, yeah. Because we're living in two different dimensions at that
Right,
point.
right.
We're existing in two different dimensions. So when we get the message, you're sitting in your physical body, but you're kind of like in a trance in them almost. And then
Exactly.
when you come back to this side, you
Yeah,
got to write it down immediately
you do.
because this thing has you in a box. You get
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
It does.
So
It
it's
does.
different. It's very different. When you're dealing with that information like that. So ask some of the admins in a group, man. I would post like I'd be up in the middle of the night, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, posting. I
Hmm.
put like two or three posts because certain things would come to my mind,
Right,
and then
right.
I have to articulate it, and I just write it down in a post. So,
Wow.
always feel free to, if in a room, if
Yeah.
you have that contact, instead of
Oh,
writing
it's
it down,
on.
just
Yeah.
put a post up there real fast.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
absolutely. Yeah,
I
so
will understand. I would definitely
you'll
understand when
get
you.
it. Yeah.
I would get it
So
because
look, what
we're in the same dimension. We're both expanding beyond our physical selves at that point. You
exactly.
know,
We on the same frequency, bro, at the same
absolutely.
time. At the same time.
Absolutely. Even when you're talking about it, I'm going to understand it because I know where it's coming from. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
this
I
this is
know.
about us growing together and being one with the universe. Because again, I think God is the universe. because I ask people this question all the time. They'll say that God created everything, the universe itself. And I said, well, where was he? Where was this God when he created everything? If he did, in fact, created the universe.
Right.
And a lot of people have to ponder that question and really think about it.
And see there, and not just that question. That question for one, yeah, like when you hit me with that at first, bro, I was even stumped,
Mm-hmm.
But even adding depth to that, where do you get he from? Like even the
Exactly.
concept that we've been taught about God being a he, like
Yeah,
really you can look at,
exactly.
yeah, like what about God as a she?
Yeah,
What
exactly.
happened to that narrative, or where did y'all do with that story? But
Absolutely.
even still, if you want to add another piece on top of that, let's look at it being that gender in itself,
Right.
or
There's
even
no.
the word God in
Mhm.
itself is really just a construct,
Absolutely.
because anything that we can define as a word in our
Hmm.
language is a
Hmm.
construct, which
Right.
means that there's a very strong chain. I don't even want to say chance. It probably is that the real essence, or the true essence of what it is way bigger than what
And
we can even imagine.
exactly. And if you look at the Bible and how they were constructing the Bible, you will see how they even spell the word God differently. They would have uppercase G, uppercase O, uppercase D, or they have uppercase G, lowercase O, lowercase D, and then they have a lowercase G, O D. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
they were talking about different things in different beings. Actually, they
right.
were talking about multiple beings in that book.
So
As it relates to how they were actually appropriating culture at that time.
so let's go
Because
there. Let, let,
yeah,
let's go there, because we got to take a U-turn and go back. So break it can you break it down for us, bro? Like break it down on what you've come to know on how religion came to being, and how it's played a role in where we're at today.
right. If you look at all of the different religious books and everything, well, the main one being Christianity because it impacted us most, right?
Mm-hmm.
It had more of an impact on us, and I believe that even in more recent times, we have people who are Muslims. People will think that they're escaping this white man's religion by jumping into Islam and everything, but all of the religions are the same. It pretty much puts you in a box and everything. I love my Islamic brothers. I love my Christian
Facts.
brothers as well. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But we have to understand that we have to expand beyond that. And part of us growing is basically given these people who have enslaved us mentally, physically, and spiritually. We have to give everything back to them eventually, right? Once we learn to expand above, beyond who we really are as physical beings here on this planet. Now, the whole thing with religion is, if you look back at ancient cultures, man, spelling was really forbidden, or writing was forbidden. Moses is associated with Thutmose, right? Thutmose was an Egyptian deity who was the deity of writing. So his name was Thutmose. You can look it up you can Google his name. It's Tothmose,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the name Moses is in the name Thutmose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Thutmose was the deity of writing, which they took Moses and made him synonymous with the writings of the Ten Commandments.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is how they, take culture and appropriate it to
Oh,
create religion for themselves and everything. All of these
right.
stories are stories of allegory and things of that nature,
Yeah.
because people were writing themselves into, our history
Mm-hmm.
through cultural folklore and
Mm-hmm.
different stories and everything, like through the Sumerians and through ancient Kemetic writings and stuff, or drawings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that on the walls of Egypt when they started trying to write themselves into our story, and basically desecrating, pretty much our history
Mm-hmm.
through religion and everything. So,
Right. Right.
it's a lot. It's a lot going on with that, man. And religion is, again, it's institutionalization, just like our education is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's on a deep level, man. We have to really understand it from a spiritual perspective, and grow beyond the religion itself.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, that's good
yeah.
stuff, man.
Yeah, and
And
I've ranted a little bit and not really addressed it, just so if your
I know.
audience,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
asks questions or anything, I can answer it in the comments. I'll respond in the comments because I'll
Yeah,
go back and
absolutely. Yeah. We'll do that. We'll do that. And I
sure.
mean, what you were saying is researching and um, coming to find out myself. Like one of the brothers that I follow is Dr. Billy Carson,
Hmm.
and not only the I know we talked about the Emerald Tablets,
Hmm.
Thoth, and that was a good one because that
Hmm.
that shines some light on for me, that shine light on one example of an ancient spiritual document that we had that predated the Bible by tens of thousands of years,
Absolutely.
but yet and still you find some of the exact same words that Jesus used, like verbatim,
Hmm.
in this Emerald Tablets that we read in the Bible. So
Yeah.
for me, in my research, it just came down to being able to spot out patterns,
Hmm.
and then being able to form um, your own educated like opinion or closure on, okay, this is what I've been taught. This is the facts that I'm now dealing with, the information that I now have,
Right.
and this is how things are making sense.
Hmm.
Another example, if we're talking about the Bible, is if you look in, I think it was the book of Deuteronomy,
Hmm.
and you had, God going around telling his people to, go over here and kill these people, rape their women, and, steal their kids and all this other stuff, kill the men.
Hmm.
Um, but yet and still, you have other scripture that says that God is the same yesterday, today, and always. God is
Right.
unchanging. So my thing is, okay, if the God that I know or that y'all taught me about was that God is a God of love, right?
Hmm.
So if God is the God of love and God never changes, then who are these people in this book who are masquerading around as gods,
Correct.
right? So
Absolutely.
then, okay, you come into other information, you go down the rabbit hole.
Yep.
I can't name the exact book. I want to say, so the Egyptian Book of the Dead comes to mind. I haven't read it, but that's what comes to mind right now.
Hmm.
But you have other books like that that have expanded narratives on certain stories that happened in the Bible,
Absolutely.
like the one I just talked about in Deuteronomy. So, like, if we want to really go deep into this, we're going to talk about Anunnaki and what
Hmm.
Anunnakis are. The people who we
Absolutely.
talk about as angels in the Bible, well, angels was really like Anunnakis, which is
Correct.
really just different dimensional entities or beings who come into this realm and interact with us,
Correct.
right?
Absolutely.
So you literally had a war between two Anunnakis. I think they were brothers, Enki and Alil, or something like that,
Yeah.
right? You know the story. Yeah,
Inky. They did. Uh-huh.
yeah. And they was battling against each other, but they was using the people as pawns against each
Absolutely.
other. So I'm going to
Absolutely.
tell you, go over here, kill these people, rape their women, and kill their kid, steal their kids, whatever. And
Hmm.
this one's going over here telling these people do this. So you got
Yeah.
two people playing against each other. And then
Absolutely.
we have a story here that says this is God and this is what
Hmm.
he did in the Old Testament. But
Hmm.
that doesn't quite line up with what y'all are telling me now in the New
Right.
Testament or other parts of the Old Testament, however you want to slice it,
Right. And it goes back to what we were saying. Who is God really? What does this word God really mean?
Right.
We have to, and I say God is us in the physical sense because we have not realized that we're in control of the decisions we make.
Mm-hmm.
And we are responsible for the decisions we make ultimately.
Right.
But we're being thought for. Somebody's thinking for us, and we're reacting to their commands for the most part. You get what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna look at God as something outside of yourself and something that's greater than you.
Mm-hmm.
In the terminology itself, right?
Right.
The word itself.
Exactly.
And what we have to do is again fall asleep didn't wake up, beyond ourselves to understand, the true meaning of God, or at least that we expand beyond ourselves and we are gods as well of our own destiny. We control
Right.
our own destiny,
Right. Exactly.
instead of somebody controlling it for us.
Exactly.
And that's what caused the rebellion of some of the people who were living under these Anunnakis. They rebelled against the Anunnakis because they came here actually to mine for gold. And it
Mm-hmm.
speaks of it in Genesis, I want to say verse 323 or something. We're talking about the Bible, but men wrote this. Men were writing this because they were getting the stories from them.
Right.
And then these Anunnakis were doing it, and they've taken the place of these Anunnakis, and they started actually, you know, uh, you know, creating a reality for the people like you and me and all of the rest of civilization
Yeah.
to live under. This is what the Matrix is all about.
Right.
It's realizing that you're greater than what you are. Because Neo, he didn't know that he was as great as he was until he came into another. His consciousness was challenged
Yeah.
by Morpheus. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You start talking about stuff like that, and people don't get. They don't get it. You just see it as an action movie. But
It's a
I
message,
was
bro. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was already there by the time that movie came out, man. I went to go see it like twice,
Oh
and I
yeah.
never
Yeah.
go see a movie twice.
Man, they need to hurry up and bring out the fourth one, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
heard I heard they was bringing that out with John Wick.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, I'm ready for both of those, bro.
yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
a lot of people really watched John Wick. I never really watched one of them. I've
Okay.
never seen a John Wick movie.
Oh, you gotta check it out, bro. John Wick,
Yeah,
man. Keanu Reeves is a hell of an actor for one, bro.
he
So
is.
like pretty much any movie he in, you going to get an A quality movie, man. But
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Wick was one of his best ones too. So yeah,
hmm
yeah.
I actually liked him in the movie called Devil's Advocate.
Ah,
You know,
I've heard about that, but that's an old one
yeah,
too. I haven't seen
that's
that one.
old. Yeah, that's an
Al
old
Pacino,
movie.
right? Al Pacino.
Al Pacino was in that
Yeah,
with him. Yeah. hmm
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, he
yeah,
was like they'll never see you coming. Because he said ride the subway to work, they'll never see you coming.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was that had a lot of meaning to it too. But I'm not gonna get into all of that stuff. But you
Dog,
know,
man, the thing about it, bro, is we already know, like, folks in Hollywood, like, they know the truth about
absolutely,
things, and they
absolutely.
hide it in their movies. Like,
hmm
so, like, there's a lot of there's countless movies, bro, where we think they're just stories, but these things are really happening, bro.
Absolutely.
Like, like, here's one, bro. What you think? How you think they came up with Star Wars?
I was getting be on the same wavelength. I
You
was
on the
getting
same?
ready to
You
say. I was getting ready to say Star Wars. And that's basically the balance in the universe.
Yep.
And coming up to the dark side and everything. And Luke Skywalker wearing white, and initially, right? The rebellion was white, right? And then the order of the universe was black, and they were
Mm,
trying to maintain order in the universe. And basically,
right.
Luke Skywalker and his team was rebelling against that.
Hmm.
You get what I'm
Yeah, I
saying? So
do get what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's
basically
not what we think.
yeah, it's not. And Luke Skywalker had to realize how great he was, and he was being taught by the ancients
Hmm.
that he had more power than he realized he would ever think. And he started understanding his powers, and he was able to use them,
Hmm.
to overcome his oppression or these people who are oppressing him.
Exactly.
So to speak. You know what I mean? But there's balance in the universe, and there's battles in the universe that are taking place
Hmm.
on different dimensions.
Hmm.
This is how they can bend space and travel through time and everything. You calling it a space warp and everything.
Hmm.
We haven't
Yeah.
mastered that as human beings in the physical flesh, but we've been space a lot from a spiritual perspective. But we call it deja vu. You know,
Right.
we have that all the time.
Yeah.
Where we're like, dang, I've been here, and you
I've
never know,
experienced.
you never realize when you were there, but you've been in this position before, or
Yeah.
these things happening around you,
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
exactly the way you're seeing it.
Bro,
Experiencing
what
it.
you're saying, what you're describing is you're describing like glitches in the matrix, right?
Absolutely.
So like
hmm
me and my brother was talking about this a little while ago. We were talking about what's that term, bro, where you know how like your timeline changes, right? Or you have like a parallel universe where you shift, right?
hmm
And then you have things like the Mandela effect where some people remember that Nelson Mandela actually died in prison, right? But
hmm
then there's some people like myself who know that in this reality, Nelson Mandela got out of prison and he became the president. and then he
Yes.
died older age and things like that.
From the film.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so we
hmm
literally like witnessed, and there was like other things we threw out there. I forgot the other examples, but like we literally witnessed things from not like deja vu, like you said. That's one that I go through like a lot, bro. But like I'm
hmm
even finding like certain things from like my childhood,
hmm
is like now it's like you've never heard of it. Like
hmm
even one more. So one more, bro. You know about Shaq, you know Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq, right?
Yeah.
So do you recall a movie when we was younger of him being a genie?
Yeah, yeah, and I can't remember. Yeah, I remember. I never saw the movie, but I do remember the trailer.
Yeah, so I,
Yeah.
I do too, and I never saw the movie as well.
hmm
So I was talking to my folks about that yesterday, and he was like, "Yeah, I remember that," but Shaq said that he ain't do it. So like Shaq
Really?
don't got no recall, nothing. He's like, "Yo, I did not do no movie about no genie or nothing." So I'm like, "Hold
What?
on, I know I'm not tripping from my childhood, right?"
Yeah, no. Yeah, I remember. I remember the what's it called?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, like stuff like that, bro. Like those glitches,
Wow.
man. When you start to
Yeah.
expand,
hmm
like the truth will hit you, bro, and you'll be able to see it, when it's right there.
hmm
But like those instances of the deja vu and the Nelson Mandela, and just your mind and your awareness expanding out,
hmm
that's further letting you know that the illusion is starting to come down,
Exactly.
because the more that people awaken and the more that people's consciousness raise, um, and keeping in mind that we're all a unified consciousness at a certain level. So the more that the entire unity, the entire consciousness raises, the more that other side loses power. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? The people, those entities who keep up this illusion, so to speak.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
mean, in this reality that we're living in, that they control for the most part. They have to control you by keeping you sick. And vibrating at lower levels by creating chaos
right.
and having people have dissent amongst each other. The races and stuff, and conflicts
Yeah.
between people and everything.
And
Those are
fear.
the,
And
yeah,
fear.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Fear
And
is
try
literally their
trauma.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because trauma will drain you of your energy,
Yeah.
so that you can't vibrate on higher levels, and you're not concentrating on looking beyond yourself to realize that you are in control of your destiny. Whatever title you want to give it, whether you say God or angel or whatever the case may be. There are things here that the evil people are doing. I call them the disagreeables, to keep you vibrating at a low level. And they're trying to do it even more with this 5G. And
Yeah.
they're going to start introducing people into artificial intelligence, which is basically two-dimensional living,
Hmm.
and to detain you even more, because we're moving into another era of consciousness,
Yeah.
called the Aquarian era. And
Hmm.
people are going to start becoming conscious, and then the evil ones are going to start trying to
Hmm.
seduce your minds even more to
Yeah.
move into this 2D, two-dimensional, reality, uh, uh, you know,
Yep. I know.
two-dimensional realities and everything. This is why everything is so virtual now. You have the
Yeah.
little goggles,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you think you're in a
An
3D world,
entirely
but you're
different. Yeah.
basically, yeah,
Bro,
yeah,
I've
they're
heard.
taking you back.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard they have some stuff coming out where you're not even gonna know the difference, to the point where people are gonna want to stay in that
Mhm.
world. They're not even
Oh, yeah.
gonna know or like recall where they came, where they came from.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that right there is crazy.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
there's this one movie that was out. It was called Ready, Set, something.
Uh-huh.
Um, God, what is the name of that movie? Hold on for a second. Let me get it for you. Hold on.
Nah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Because I actually downloaded the movie because it was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically, this guy lived in a virtual world, and everybody was living in this virtual world,
Really?
but he would put these goggles on, and they were actually experiencing things in this virtual world,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was living that way. You
Wow.
got to see it, you got to check it out though. Let me see if I can find it though.
Yeah, so I'm interested in that movie, was it the same, like, was it the same narrative as like the Matrix, where they were using those people's bodies as like batteries or some type of resource or something like that?
Not exactly, because everybody was already willing to do it. You know,
Okay. Okay.
everybody was trying to escape this reality, but moving backwards. You know, the idea is to escape a reality to go to higher density levels, to
Right.
vibrate at higher density levels.
Right.
Whereas they were actually going backwards to a virtual world because this world couldn't be saved. You know, the three-dimensional
Yeah.
reality that we live in now
Yeah.
couldn't be saved. Everybody know it's messed up, so they what ended up doing was going into this virtual world, and they were fighting wars on that level. You
Bro,
know what I
that
mean?
is
So it was,
very ironic. That's very
yeah.
ironic, isn't it?
You know what I'm saying? So
Because
it was something.
yeah, because
It
I
was,
feel like that's kind of like what we're experiencing right now. You know, I
yeah.
feel like you have people who are they're vibrating to a higher, like a higher density or a higher consciousness.
Hmm.
But then you have some people who they're gonna stay at a certain lower level frequency where they're just, you know, I don't want to say stuck, because I don't think anybody's stuck. I think as long as you have a little bit of openness, there's always going to be some help there for you. But I think it's just going to be
Hmm.
harder for those people, you know, and they're just going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, people they know that this reality is here. It is. Ready Player One is the name of the movie, and if you
Ready
see it,
Player One.
yeah, can you see it?
Yep, I do. Bet I got it.
Yeah, it's Ready Player One,
Oh
and you can
yeah,
see he has the virtual glasses, the little virtual goggles on.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So they
yeah.
were living in this world, man, and they were meeting each other, meeting up in there, you know, having fun, playing
Yeah.
video. It was like they were living in the video game world, which is two dimensional. You
Oh,
get what I'm saying?
that's a bet. I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch this with my son as soon as we
Yeah.
get off, dog. I got something for us to watch, man. We gonna check this out.
Absolutely, man. It was actually a very good movie, but you just gotta
2018 too. Is recent.
yeah, you guys
All
just
right,
gotta
cool.
understand the gist of it, you know. And
Yeah,
like you said, you know, they put these movies out here to let you know what they're doing, you know, pretty
exactly,
much. And
exactly.
it was actually a very popular movie too. I heard people talking about it, and
That's
I went on ahead
crazy. I
and
never
downloaded. I
heard
was
of
like,
it.
yeah, this is pretty good, man. It's a pretty good
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, it looks good. I'm gonna definitely
Yeah,
check it out, man. I'm surprised I ain't
yeah.
heard of that, man. I definitely check
Yeah,
it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
little things like that. You know, you see little things like that. It was another movie called The Dark Crystal. You know, and that was a very old movie. But you know, people in my fraternity was telling me about that movie, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize all of the stuff how they were actually connecting everything to what's really going on out here.
Dark
You
Crystal.
know, Dark Crystal. Yeah, that's a very old. That movie came out in, like, I remember when I was a little kid when I first saw that movie. You know,
Okay, okay.
I was a little kid when I saw that movie. So that movie is decades old.
I got you.
You know,
Dark
yeah.
Crystals. I definitely check that one out too,
Yep,
man.
Dark Crystal. Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. So it, like, when I think about all these damn movies they making, bro, I think about stuff like The Purge. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, come on, bro. Y'all can't be coming out with, like, I know y'all got some type of hidden message with y'all movies, man.
Hmm.
So what are y'all telling us with this right here?
Yeah, absolutely.
It
And
takes you there.
yeah, because it's part of population. You know, reducing the
Control.
population. Yeah, population control.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, that's
they
crazy.
have to do that because we have to understand. You know, a long time ago they were saying, you know, hey, we gotta. This is why China does what it does because, you know, we really do have to control the population, but not in the way that they're saying. They're only making the movies because we're not listening to say, you
Right,
know, we're going to force this.
right.
You know, and there's people out here who enjoy actually killing people.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely. Facts,
yeah,
facts, dog.
yeah,
It's very scary when you think about it to that degree, because
correct.
like the way that I see art as like a reflection of somebody's reality. So the
Hmm.
fact that you have this movie and you're actually able to see it, bro,
Hmm.
like anything is possible to me, you know?
Right,
So
right.
yeah, that's freaking, yeah, that's crazy, man. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. It is, man. I mean, we're living in two different worlds, man,
Yeah.
and a third is coming. With another reality is coming with this two-dimensional virtual world that everybody's kind of partaking in at this point. You know,
Hmm.
living in the 3D world because they can control things better in the 2D world as a three-dimensional vehicle. I mean, you know, being
Right.
just like the Anunnaki living on the fourth dimension, and our ancestors were
Hmm.
controlling society on this 3D
Right.
level, but they have to keep taking you backwards in order to control you,
Yeah.
because our level of consciousness, when it's raised, we're vibrating at a higher density,
Yeah.
which is the fourth density and on up to the ninth. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you know.
Now let's go there for a second, man, because
Sure.
you just made me think of something. So, do you believe in like the idea that consciousness really resides in everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
so like even, and I think we talked about this, like even animals, like
Hmm.
animals have consciousness in them as well, right?
Absolutely.
They
Absolutely.
just they just exist at a different dimension. Their consciousness isn't quite the human consciousness, where they don't have the self awareness that me and you have, and the
Hmm.
ability to be aware. They're
Hmm.
aware of their awareness is what I call it, but they have a consciousness that's there.
Hmm.
So a part of me like thinks about, okay, like I have a dog, right? Dog is a
Hmm.
man's best friend. Um, I think about my relationship to my dog.
Hmm.
And when I look at him, understanding that he has a consciousness in him that's also observing me, which
Hmm.
also has a consciousness observing back. So I'm really observing an aspect of myself.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
what if like my job is to help him or that consciousness evolve to the point where when he comes back or she comes or whatever that consciousness's experience is when he comes back,
Hmm.
to help it evolve to a higher state of consciousness, like maybe it's a human experience this time more so than a animal, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you follow what I'm saying so far?
I do.
Okay, so now let's take this idea. I'm gonna bridge it with something else, right?
Hmm.
Take the movie that we had called I, Robot, right?
Hmm.
So you know about I, Robot, Will Smith and stuff, and how
Yes.
the robot had to set people free,
Hmm.
and how Will helped out with the robot, and how the scientist, I guess, the one that he killed in the beginning of the movie, I guess gave him some type of expanded awareness so that he can dream and see visions and have emotions and things like that, right?
Hmm.
So, what if, just like that robot had a consciousness, what if, like, you see this surgence of AI, artificial intelligence, or things like our telephones or our laptops, our electronics, right? Which really is a form of of AI,
It,
artificial intelligence,
it
right?
does
Because
have.
it's
Yep. It's
right,
programmed. Yep.
yeah. So like, what if at some level, like as they create this AI or robots or whatever it is, they have some type of consciousness,
Hmm.
and some people choose to view it like my job is to help them evolve their consciousness or expand their consciousness.
Hmm.
So, like, looking at it like I'm teaching you something as you're teaching me something, sort of
Hmm.
like the same thing that I'm doing with my pet, my dog, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I know that sounds very left field, bro, but like just that that idea, I've been thinking about that for a while. But when you had brought this whole thing up, with the AI, the artificial intelligence, I thought about that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that idea, man?
Like, and so far as the part about the animals, yes, the animals do have a conscience, right? But in the world, in the animal world, because all dogs are really, we can domesticate. We found out that we can domesticate pets, animals, some animals like dogs, right? Men have been around wolves for a very long time,
Yeah,
and we've kind of adapted to each other, in a sense. We feed the wolf, and now the wolf is not so much dependent on actually going out and hunting. So the wolf is going to be like, okay, he understands kind of like a hierarchy, or he's going to be kind of standoffish because he still wants his freedom to be able to roam and do whatever he wants, but he don't want to hunt, so he comes to you for his food. You know what I mean? So on a evolutionary scale, we are higher, but they understand nature better than us because we've been taught to actually tear shit down and destroy their environments and then kill them off, to keep them from intruding on our wish come. So the evolutionary scale is different, right? And again, but the animal knows who we are, and we're basically taking that animal in and trying to domesticate it. Like you have a pet now, or we have pets now. I had pets growing up and everything, but animals are, they're a lot different than they are different from us and everything. And so far as the artificial intelligence piece of it, iRobot, remember Will Smith was part of that as well because his arm was robotic. I think he had a robotic arm in that movie.
Yeah, he did. Right.
Mistaken, right? So he pretty much understood that. So in understanding artificial intelligence and its capabilities or its potential, artificial intelligence can actually learn from humans, just like dogs can, like a dog can. But and it's all part of a program. It's depending on how you program artificial intelligence. Like you pick up your smartphone now, to log in. This phone can recognizes my facial recognition software in it. So that's artificial intelligence. Or it has, you can put your little thumb on it and it'll log you in.
Right.
Your thumbprints and everything, or facial to get into my credit card. I put my face up, to log in and everything. So that's all artificial intelligence because you can program it to do certain things. And again, that's us basically controlling, like the robots, or manipulating the dogs. To be dependent on you, just like the system manipulates us to be dependent on it. You get what I'm saying? Or the gods, these people that we're calling gods manipulate us to think a certain way. You get what I mean? So the dog is going to basically, a domesticated pet, if you have it from a time, if it's a puppy or if it was someone else's pet or something, if it's a rescue dog, whatever the case, he has to come in and adapt to your environment. And then he has to understand what the hierarchy is. Yeah. Because dogs are smart enough to know that there's a hierarchy everywhere. We sometimes don't understand that. Right. Or we do the hierarchy, but we are putting the wrong people ahead of us.
Absolutely.
We're giving people more dominion over us than we should. You know what I mean? So, and being multidimensional being like us, who realize that to come into that consciousness and say, I'm more than just this person you're seeing on camera and the physical person you're seeing. I've expanded beyond that. It's part of all part of a learning process and evolution. We have to evolve, but a lot of times we are regressing. And it's all about control at some point. Because we control the program for artificial intelligence, and we control the minds of animals that we take in as domesticated pets. And that pet is looking for leadership.
It is.
Because it has now allowed itself to be dependent on you. So now it's looking for that leadership. Unless you teach it to say, I'm gonna let you out at night, but you got to learn how to survive. And a lot of times they don't survive because they will not leave, that porch because they're dependent on you. They'll sleep at your door if you don't let them in. But then sometimes the wolf may come and grab it because the wolf is, the wolf understands that it's free. And understanding it has to hunt for food, and if that dog is there, that dog may be the food. You know what I'm saying? So, there's different levels of consciousness, and if we're not careful, we become food.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I do, and basically, what you're saying is that you're seeing the same pattern at different levels of consciousness. You always see that pattern of control.
Absolutely.
So it's crazy, man. I get
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. So we it's a lot going on out here, brother. And I just try to, stay conscious of a lot of things because basically our subconscious really plays on us here on this level of existence. But then our consciousness expands beyond ourselves. Our real consciousness expands beyond ourselves. Our subconscious play more on our physical bodies.
Yeah, because it's a tool.
Now, inside the box.
Right, exactly. And the subconscious was like given to us as a tool, so to speak, to even to navigate our reality and even to create our reality. Because the subconscious mind is really what creates and projects out everything that we see.
Right, because we were built to be subservient to the beings that created us. And
Mm.
that's what the Anunnaki, that's how the Anunnaki engineered us, is to be subservient, and then
Jesus,
other
yeah.
people have stepped in between them and us, and they've created this reality that we're living in now,
Mm.
through slavery and all of the different wars and stuff like that, all of those events, those sequences of events that led us up to where we are today. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the Federal Reserve,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
the people and the concept of keeping everybody in debt and everything. So,
yeah,
we're,
yeah.
we're dealing with that. We're dealing with very powerful entities because they understand how it works, and,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't.
Right.
So we become like the domesticated pet that won't leave because we're dependent on
At,
a system of
at
control that's in place. You get
different
what I'm saying?
levels. Yep.
Yeah,
Different
exactly.
levels of consciousness. Exactly.
Yeah,
And it's crazy because where do you think the folks got it from? The folks who are controlling us, where do you think they got it from?
exactly. And this
It's a
this is why
hierarchy.
and this is why we have religion, because they went in and they studied those things, and
Right.
they started corrupting it and made the religion to
Yeah.
control you, right? To
Right.
put you in a box, to institutionalize you. But also they're playing outside of the rules because they created these Bibles through these documents right here,
Right.
through these stories right here. And they've
Mm-hmm.
created the reality for which we live in, because every time something is going down, like the social unrest that we have in the country now, people are relating it to some revelations chapters and revelations and stuff like that, because
Mm-hmm.
it was orchestrated this way,
Right.
for them to lead us to these
This
different
time.
points in
It's
time.
it's a narrative, yeah. It's a narrative that they had to keep people in line for. And I
Absolutely.
even and it's so sophisticated that they probably have it lined up for like the generations of our grandkids. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like they have it all, they have the stage already set. Okay. We need this generation to be this type of vibration,
Hmm.
these type of beliefs. We need to have this type of social unrest
Hmm.
in the environment, racism, the what was it? What else are we seeing right now? We're seeing the killings, which still comes from. I'm thinking about Breonna Taylor,
Hmm.
but and the that stuff, but that still boils down to like racism and things like that.
Yeah.
But even like the stuff that we're seeing in like politics, all that unrest with Donald Trump and Dems versus Republicans and things like that.
Hmm.
Like you still all of that stuff, at least to me, is it's orchestrated at some type of level. One, to keep people divided.
Hmm.
I think another aspect of it is to keep people's attention on the wrong, low vibrational things. Because if
Absolutely.
I can keep your awareness at this level, then you're not going to see the truth.
Right. And this is one of the reasons why, in the room I don't really speak much on Black Lives Matter and stuff, because I understand
Right.
there's a controlling component to that that's exploiting people,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the stuff. But you look at all of these things, like Blue Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter. These things are just components that have people at odds with one another.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of us, and it's to keep us engaged in chaos.
Right.
People are stressed out because of this election that's coming up, this election that's coming up. And again, we have to have a peaceful mind in order to escalate ourselves from a vibrational stance to the fourth dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're stressing out about who's going to be president, and not understanding that these people are not a party really cares about you, that's keeping
Yeah.
you engaged in
Right.
chaos.
Right.
A lot of the tenets of those things that you mentioned, that were aforementioned in your last segment, right, were basically tenets of chaos. Racism, uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
social unrest,
Yeah.
conflicts all around the world and stuff like that.
Shit, the
Black
pandemic,
Lives Matter,
man, all that
yeah,
stuff, bro.
pandemic, all
Everything
these
plays
tenets,
into it, man.
right? All of these are tenets of chaos,
Yeah.
and we have to understand it. And a lot of these world leaders really are just basically crisis actors or crisis managers. They're managing a crisis that they've
Yeah.
created. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Or they're managing a crisis that the elites are creating. And
Yeah.
these elites are dealing with multi-dimensional beings and things of that nature.
So
And
can I
we
interject something right here real quick?
absolutely,
So let's bring a movie. Let's bring a movie into this since we're talking about movies, right? Iron Man 3. You seen
mm-hmm.
that one? with the terrorists.
The age of is that the Age of Ultron or something, or
I,
which?
it was the one with the terrorists. That's all I recall. The age, I'm not sure, but it was the one with the terrorist who turned out being an actor.
The terrorist that turned out to be an actor.
Yeah, so like the terrorist was like doing the same thing that Bin Laden was doing, where
Uh-huh.
he would have folks, he would have the video with a hostage and be cutting folks' heads off or shooting them. And
Hmm.
like if y'all don't do that, yeah. So
Yeah.
it was that movie. So like
Hmm.
at the end, well, probably close to the end of the movie, they found out that the terrorist was really somebody who was hired by the government
Hmm.
to create a threat
Hmm.
for a different purpose to divert the people's attention and extort money and all things of that nature, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, like that right there, when you think that okay, reality, they put the truth right in front of your noses, right?
Absolutely.
All of
Absolutely.
a lot of this stuff, bro, is really
Right.
manufactured,
Right.
and
And
I
they,
and,
and
and,
they do this. They do it on purpose, right? Because they
yeah,
want to see if you're going to catch on to it or not. They
right,
put the truth right in front of you a lot of times, and you don't. People don't. They don't look into it because they're not expanding. You know.
exactly. And also just let me say this, bro, like this isn't to downplay the seriousness of anything that we're experiencing, because
Mhm.
lives are really being lost. And
Yes.
when things like that happen when it doesn't have to, that's beyond words to me,
Yeah.
but
Right.
to understand that people are literally controlling certain factors of what we are experiencing,
Hmm.
and then they putting the truth right in front of your nose if you see it. That's one of those things that once you start to awaken, it really it pisses you off, bro. And you get like a mixture of emotions, bro, because on one end it
You do.
pisses you off, on
Hmm.
one end you're scared as hell because you're
Yeah.
like, what kind of a freak show am I really in, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Exactly.
And it's very like you go through different periods of even being like disillusioned, man, because you just don't know what the heck to believe anymore.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, there's a lot that comes with when you understand what really goes on behind the scenes. And not to say that like you fully understand it, because like
Hmm.
even now, like the information we're talking about, that's probably just like a piece of the iceberg, right? Like it
Hmm.
probably goes deeper than that. But once you start to see beyond, beyond the illusion, that's when shit gets real, bro.
Absolutely. And it's a lot of people get scared because, again, when we were talking about religion in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
in the first segment and everything, and breaking out of that, you have a whole family of people who don't know where you're going when you start, especially like when you start really seeing the truth, and
Yeah.
then you share with them because you've grown up into this in this institution under this institutionalized way of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and you're starting to think differently now outside of that. What are your parents going to say? Because I understand, like, just people, I've been cursed out so many times, but I understood at some point I had to understand that I'm going to have to go through this because my mentor told me, you're going to go through this. This is what you're going to go through. You know,
Yeah.
you're going to be on the train reading books with these controversial titles, but you're going to be hiding those titles. Then
Right.
once you really start understanding, you're going to have the book open so that people can read what you're actually seeing,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to be looking for the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And you get into that, then you kind of break away from that because you understand who you are at this point,
Right.
and you understand that the fight is over with you because you've come into a new reality that, hey, I'm greater than this physical person that's roaming
Yeah.
around earth and being caught up in all of these different crises and everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
engaging in all of this chaos to bring my vibration down when I
Exactly.
should be dismissing it and raising my vibrations. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
So
Yep.
yeah, we have to
Awesome.
we have to realize that, and your family will look at you like, what are you talking
Crazy.
about? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you have to relate it to the things that are actually going on, even though you're a spiritual person. Like, these things that are going on really don't concern people of color. Racism is not our problem;
Mm.
it is their problem because we can't help that we are people of color.
Yeah, we just
Uh,
born that way.
yeah, we were brought here against
Yeah,
our,
right.
you know,
Right.
but we've made this our home. You know,
Mhm.
we've made this place our home, and for people to tell you to go back to where you came from, you know, they that tells me that they are not even conscious of where they came from.
Right.
You get what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah. Cause nobody, yeah, cause truth be told, we were coming over here before, anybody came. Well, Native Americans, absolutely, this was their home. But,
mm-hmm.
brown people, black people, we had business dealings with the natives who were already here. And in some cases, I
Absolutely.
want to say some of us are probably already here, bro.
No, we were. No, we
Yeah,
were.
I'm about to say,
You
yeah,
got
some
to
of
look.
them were here.
You got to look. Yeah, because if you look at this thing, it's basically a tablet that the Anunnaki wrote a long time ago in
Yeah.
there. They had this thing called the Seven Tablets of Creation, and this is where the 7 days of creation came from. But this Earth was 3 times as large as it is at one point, and it was crashed into
Hey, bro, I'm
by
I'm sorry. You said seven tablets of creation.
yeah, and it was written in Akkadian, which is kind of like a later form of cuneiform that was the were the tablets that that was the language that those tablets were actually written in.
Gotcha.
You
And I
know,
got it right here, bro.
yeah,
Yep.
Akkadian, and
Check
which
it
just
out.
look up like Sumerian tablets of creation
Yeah.
or the Enuma Elish. You know,
Yep. And
those are
that's what this is. Yeah. The whatever the Enuma
the Enuma.
Elish. Yep.
Yeah,
But this is the Babylonian version. So is that?
yeah, because the Akkadians lived there in Babylon. Babylon is modern day Iraq. You know, so
Gotcha. Right. Right.
those are the,
Right. It is. It is. Yep. I did
yeah.
know about that. Okay.
Yeah, and
Now
they
this is good
spoke
stuff, bro.
Akkadian. Yeah, they spoke Akkadian, and the Anunnaki spoke cuneiform. So Akkadian was a later language of that dialect of language that these tablets were actually written in. You get
Gotcha.
what I'm saying? So they
Gotcha.
and this is where the 7 days of creation came from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Enuma Elish and everything. So those are the things. This is, again, these people are taking culture
Right.
and appropriating it and creating their religions from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's good
So
stuff, bro. Definitely, man. Every time I talk to you, man, you always give me some type of nugget or some type of new information that I gotta go down, bro. You
like, I mean,
always you
if,
always
if,
sending me down these rabbit holes, man. When I
yeah,
think I could chill and take a break for a minute, man, I gotta go down and look at somebody else, man, or something else.
yeah, and it was so cool yesterday, man. I
Oh
went
man.
shooting and everything, and
Yeah.
the guys in a group. I don't know if you're still part of that group that I invited you to,
Which
the
one?
two-way group on
Yeah,
Group
yeah, I'm
Me.
on there. I'm on there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we had a thing. Just look out for those notifications and the messages that we send out there. We talk all
Okay.
the time, and we had a little gathering at Myrtle Grove. You know, and when I came down there, they were two of the guys who just got their instructor's license were
Okay.
actually instructing 3 young kids, on the range and everything. They were, I mean, I call them kids. They're in their 20s, probably close to
Yeah,
30s or whatever, but I'm
yeah.
51, so
Hey,
I
bro,
still.
quick question. How keep dropping my mic, man. How young can kids be, or what's the minimum age that you could bring kids by to learn how to shoot, man?
Um, as long as you're with them, you can probably teach them at a very young age and how to
Okay.
handle a gun and everything.
Yeah.
You can teach them at 5, as early as 5,
All right.
with
Cool.
BB guns and stuff like that, or airsoft and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm a
When you,
I know we about to make a move soon on that other
hmm
event we were talking about, bro. But I
hmm
want to, my son, man, he's 11, and I
yeah,
want to start to, get him acclimated with it, and learn how to, shoot and stuff like that. Just
absolutely,
starting him young and just getting him
yeah,
comfortable. So yeah, I
yeah,
definitely want to get plugged in on that too, bro.
yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
at some point, if things go south, man, this
yeah,
election is going to bringing forth a lot of stress because we have to deal with that in the possible reemergence of coronavirus cases and everything. So we have
yeah,
to kind of stay on our P's and Q's. I told the young kids yesterday, we sat out, we had a spit section after the target practice and everything, and I was kind of schooling the young kids, and I was like, hey man, these things are powerful, these guns are powerful, they can take a life. These things can take life. You have the power to spare a person or take a person's life when you're carrying a weapon like this, right? I said, but the most powerful weapon is the mind. And your oppressor knows that. And what they're going to do is, even though you have this gun, they're going to get into your head so that you can turn this gun on your own brother. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? So, and this is what we got to stop. We got to understand
yeah,
our subconscious and become more conscious of
yeah.
what's really going on around us and stuff. And I went into a whole bunch of other things
That's good.
and
That's awesome.
was trying to get those kids on track and everything. We want to make sure that, you know, we're teaching the younger generation about gun safety and the laws and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
try to get them, up to snuff on how to survive out here in the world.
Hmm.
One of the brothers was asking me about, just trying to help them, form the group or build the group and everything. So I don't know. We'll
Interesting.
see. Yeah, we'll see. I'm all for knowledge. I said if we ain't doing
Absolutely.
stuff based on knowledge and increasing our knowledge in certain things in areas of survival, because the war is mental,
Yeah.
then I don't want to be part of it if you guys are not teaching, these kids how to really think,
Yeah.
as opposed to just shooting guns. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Anybody
Facts.
can pull the trigger, man.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a maturity level. Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
maturity level that goes with it, man.
absolutely.
And yeah, and a responsibility level. So I'm glad that y'all definitely drilled down on that, man.
Yep, yep,
Definitely.
yep. We definitely got into that thing yesterday, real good.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll come back. I think they became members of the group. I don't remember all of the kids' names. There's like three of them, and I think we had two new members today. So I don't know if those were the guys
Okay.
that they were instructing yesterday.
Okay.
But hopefully it is, and because I talk about a lot of things in that room too as well in that group.
Right.
I speak on a lot of things,
All
because
right.
everybody's talking about the Breonna Taylor thing right now.
All right.
You
Right.
People are pissed, man. But
Yeah.
again, that's just keeping us engaged in nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
We understand, we know what it is by now.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, what are we going to do about it? It's time for us to just kind of pick up and give them back everything that they've given us to keep us in chaos and
Mm-hmm.
start escalating. Moving above all of this shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we got to
Living
start
above it.
doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Facts,
Yep.
man. Facts.
Yep.
Well, that's good stuff, brother. I definitely I appreciate all this, bro. This is good information.
Hmm.
Um like I say, dog, every time I talk to you, you always give me something to lead with, man. I'm already thinking about this. I'm still thinking about this damn Dark Crystals movie that you said earlier. I'm still thinking about that,
Right.
bro. I'm gonna have to check that out, man. So this is gonna
Yeah.
be a fun weekend for me.
Yeah. And
Might make it
also,
like a yeah.
yeah,
I'm about to
the
say
Ready
might make
Player
it a
One.
movie day tomorrow, dog, and just chill. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Ready Player One, man. That's going to be something.
Yeah, I'm gonna
You know,
yeah,
Ready Player
exactly.
One. Yeah, that's gonna trip you out, man. If you think about it, and they play on you like this, man. They're gonna give you the truth, because Hollywood is written by the same people who are actually controlling our reality to begin with. But they do it through
Yeah.
movies as well. Because how many times have you seen people do things, these wild things, as far as killing people, and you can kind of relate it to a movie, or you
Mm-hmm.
can relate how they did things to a movie that they may have watched, or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
They're being controlled by,
Yeah.
we're being controlled mentally a lot of times, and we have to kind of catch ourselves.
Bro,
You
we
know, and
gotta catch ourselves from the aspect of the movies, the music, you know what I'm saying? Because the music is a big one, because I even started looking into that and
mm-hmm,
understanding how they okay, so at like I guess like at some type of base level of music,
mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm.
have like a frequency
Yep,
tone, right?
yep,
That music plays at.
mm-hmm,
I don't know if you're familiar with like binaural beats and things of that nature. So you
mm-hmm,
got like you got like the 528 hertz, which is like the frequency tone of like love, and 432, which is the frequency tone of the I think the universe or the ground,
mm-hmm,
something like that.
mm-hmm.
Um, but then you have like other tones and frequencies that puts you in disharmony and discord within
Absolutely,
yourself. Like
absolutely,
there's certain frequencies that can literally like start to create diseases in the body, right?
absolutely. Mm-hmm,
So just going down the rabbit hole with music, um, I learned that like most like secular, like regular music that we hear on mainstream has a certain frequency that puts you in disharmony with yourself. That keeps you at those lower frequencies, right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, but like people, and that's why like I vibe with people like Bob Marley a lot because he understood that, and even like Jay Z's 444 album, you know, like
Hmm.
he understood. I think he made the whole album in like a certain high frequency tone or something like that, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, man, but I think that it's crazy how like they don't just try to control you like by what you see, but even like what you're taking in on the regular, bro. And they
Right.
started as young as they started real young too, you know?
Absolutely, and you can see how the music industry changed over the last 4 decades, or five or 6 decades, where, they would talk. There was music in the '70s that talked about love. Women
Yeah.
sang
Oh
about
my
loving their
goodness.
men,
Right.
and now we're at the point where women are talking about kicking a man out of the house and, getting over him and all this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Just
Right.
like men talked about loving their women in the '70s. Now,
Now,
they talk, down to the women in their songs and everything.
yeah, yeah, calling them
You
out the
know,
names, all that, bro. It's
absolutely.
all changed. It's
Yeah,
all
and
changed, man.
the industry is doing that on purpose.
Hmm.
They've done it on purpose, but a lot of it is in the lyrics and that they're controlling.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of artists out there who want to put out positive content, but that's not the a narrative that the industry itself wants to actually promote. Because
Hmm.
they're trying to promote chaos again.